'em heavy or lean and treating me mean in black leather. I like cold weather, I like black leather, I like cold leather and black leather. Put me together, black leather. Now that I'm old enough to have what I like, I like big, heavy muscle and a motorbikes in black leather. Black leather. I wanna do it again, make me scream with pain. Black leather. Oh, you can come here now and show me how with black leather. I'm better, I'll be shaking all over. Go, black leather. Oh, it's just midnight. What can I do about these dreams? Oh, it's just midnight. What can I do about these filthy, dirty, disgusting dreams about big, heavy, like a poison leather, deep black leather. Black leather. When I was born, I knew how to ride. I rode big, heavy muscle men on motorbikes in black leather. Black leather. Now that I'm grown, well, I do just what I like. I ride big, heavy rocker boys on motorbikes in black leather. Black leather. Tough, lean, make me scream. Black leather. Black leather. Motor boys, black leather. Come on, I'll show you how I ride. Black leather. Come on, motorbikes, black leather. I'll show you motorbikes, black leather. Oh, come on, those jeans are too tight. Black.
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.
They rise at night and can't be stopped. They're the walking dead who are never buried. And they're coming your way now in Horror of the Zombies. They're hundreds of years old and look decayed. It's all new chills and a shocking and ghastly nightmare of gruesome terror. Horror of the Zombies. Rated R from Independent International.
Could it really happen? Well, you can't prove that it couldn't, so that means it could. Not really. Good evening, fans of fantastic films, and welcome once again to the Drive-In Asylum double feature. And tonight, we've got an incredibly slow-moving night of movies for you. In fact, they move at a glacial pace, and we're hoping that you have lots of accoutrements for tonight's show.
That's why the first drink is filled with so many ingredients. It's a walloper to get you through it. But I love both these movies, so I have nothing
me
bad
too.
to say about either. Yeah.
This is nothing but an endorsement when I say things like that.
Oh yeah. Obviously, the Blind Dead movies are near and dear to both our hearts. And this is the third one. You got the shirt on, yeah, exactly.
Well, it's not a shirt for the Ghost Galleon, but
Mhm.
you know, it's the Ridge.
Yeah.
But you know,
I got on the Spanish Drive-In night shirt.
ooh, I never
Yeah.
even thought to wear that one.
I thought we
with
were gonna
money.
twin it, so I was excited. It'd be like our version of the Barbie movie thing. We both wear our Spanish drive-in horror shirts.
Guys, you should have sent me a text.
I should have. I just thought of it though, so it was
You
a little
text
late.
me about all kinds of stuff, and you don't text me about that.
I know. We should plan out the show some days.
Well, I don't know. I
Yeah,
like I,
anyways,
I like that in the moment vibe, don't you?
I do too. Off the cuff, as they would say.
Impromptu.
Yeah, so the Blind Dead are obviously based on the Knights Templar, who we kind of talked a little bit about last week because the Templars were the bad guys last week in our second movie, Warriors of the Wasteland. And so these are the real Templars, but they're back from the dead and riding skeletal horses and even got a ship this time, a ghost galleon, some would argue.
Yeah. This is the one you're really never going to believe. I
Yeah.
mean, I know everyone has seen this already, but imagine you've never seen it. And that first time that you experienced, hopefully, or were you expecting this kind of movie from the Blind Dead?
No, I wasn't. Fill up your bathtub and throw a sailboat in it and get ready because this movie's going to deliver that kind of action.
Because the first two movies, they're riding horses, so
Yeah.
the one thing that you never thought you'd see is the Blind Dead on the open sea, and yet there it was right before your disbelieving eyes.
Yeah.
That's why I admire this film.
I love that the Blind Dead just kept coming back. Like, I don't know if anybody was I mean, I'm asking for them now. Retroactively 30, more than that, 45, 50 years later.
Mhm.
I'm asking for all the Blind Dead. But I don't know in the 70s were people like, "Oh shit, it's another Blind Dead movie." Is that why this is the Ghost Galleon and every other title, which I'm sure we're going to see a whole bunch of them?
I don't know what the awareness and appreciation for the Blind Dead was prior
Yeah.
to the 90s, or maybe even
Oh,
the 80s on home video. But, were people really into this cinematically? Because these movies, well, only the first one played theatrically in the States,
mm,
unless I'm mistaken. I
yeah.
don't think the second one ever played domestically, and this one sure didn't. Oh,
Mm.
wait, no, it did. This one
It
is
did
the one
because
that
it's on.
did.
Yeah.
It's the second one that did not. So I'm
Mm.
new to the show, so please
No,
bear
it's
with me.
okay. And I know we're going to get into the titles of these movies, but I have to say, other than the Ghost Galleon, the Ghost Ship of the Swimming Corpses is a fucking great title. Um, that's a wonderful name for this movie.
Is it really called that?
That's one of the ones when I looked up titles, I found that one. That may have been a foreign translation, but that one's in there. But these are all the fever dreams of Armando de Osorio, who was like, I'm going to just keep making Blind Dead movies and
Mhm.
Spanish horror. And he kind of worked through, just like a lot of other Spanish directors, through uh, General Franco, not Jess, Federico Franco, who is dead, and went through and made it through the censorship of that time. And a lot of these movies were made like where there was a version for Spain and there was a version for the rest of the world so that they could get in some things. What I love about this one is it posits a world where models can be out on a boat doing a model shoot and suddenly sail out into the fog and you hear that music and you're like, oh, all right. And that's the beauty of it.
It's pretty brutal too in a number of ways. The whole Blind Dead series is, even though the violence is cartoonish,
Yeah.
there's nothing that's really going to make you sick to your stomach that happens in this movie. It's like, the dismemberment of Barbie dolls. There's a timely reference for you. But
The first
uh,
one is very doomy. Like the first one feels like
yeah.
it's like they're very Night of the Living Dead in their like gloominess and nihilism. And that's what I like about them.
Yeah, it's got a brutal ending, the original film, but the violence itself, it's more about the implication of what's happening in these movies. But
Yeah.
it's not only that. There's also this weird undercurrent of sexual assault.
Yeah.
I think in almost all of them, there's a woman that gets sexually assaulted,
And
and
all these that was one of the theories of because the Templars were a mononistic order, right? Like where they were supposed to be holy men and not be sleeping with women, but that they were either abducting women for their sexual black masses or were sleeping with each other were the actual rumors of the real Knights Templar.
every time I watch one of these movies, I just keep thinking all somebody has to do when confronted with these skeletons basically is, just a real firm palm to what's left of their chest. Make sure you get the sternum because, you don't want your hand going through the rib cage, but
Yeah.
just shove these things away from you. They have to weigh about like 5 pounds each.
I have the same theory that I do about Fulci spiders with these guys. That they project an aura of like hypnosis, and like their song. Once you hear their song, they're just like, oh, and it's like, oh, I'm just totally, you know, what do you call it? Mesmerized by them. Also in the chat, I saw that Ed brought up the band Hooded Menace. I almost wore a Hooded Menace shirt tonight. They're a Polish doom death band that they actually used the sample from Twins of Evil on one of their songs, but they all their merch looks like the Blind Dead. The Blind Dead shows up in a lot of metal merch because their posters are super metal. They're like these hooded guys carrying women on crosses and sacrificing women, and like you said, always like seeming like they're about to assault a woman. Uh, they're they will. Some people may have their shirts and not even know they're from movies.
I think Thrill Kill Cult used a Blind Dead poster for a shirt also. I could be mistaken about that.
Yeah, and I think they're still making Blind Dead movies. There have been a couple recently. The post-apocalyptic one you can super avoid, but there's one that Full Moon put out that the same director that did Space Vampire did, and it's actually pretty good, but it's a female Templar chasing a woman. That's the 2023 modern version of it. And yes, there is still
Ah.
the sexual undercurrent.
Does she look just like the original Templars?
Yeah, she does, but you can
She's
tell
a
it's a woman.
skeleton. She's a
Yeah,
Halloween skeleton.
Yeah, exactly. But she's chasing a woman through a church, and then they have sex.
I actually have Halloween decorations that look more realistic than the things in this movie.
But you know what? When you see them in the fog with the horses and the music's playing, it's just like that's awesome. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I'm willing to forgive so much. Like the exact opposite with the remake that came out a couple years ago. I didn't forgive anything. I was like ready to fight from the beginning, right? But the original ones, I'm like, yeah, I know that the end of this movie looks about as realistic as model ships in a bucket. But you know what? I'm fine with that. My mind can fill in the differences.
I think this might be my favorite Blind Dead film.
Yeah.
It's hard to rank things like that. I hate having to do that, but because these movies are all like, if you like one of them, you're probably going to like the rest of them too. They're all about on the same level, I would argue, to the lay person anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think this one's cool because it has like an idea of the models in danger. It kind of plays with that trope as well as the Blind Dead. I'm looking through the review I wrote of it, and it said this movie really makes me feel like I'm in a trance the whole time that I watch it. It's a very like stonerific film. I love the idea that a sporting goods owner wants to get publicity by stranding models out on a boat, and his sporting goods will save them. That I've been in advertising a long time, and I've never. Maybe that's the campaign I'm missing out on.
Sporting goods,
Yeah,
or like a stunt like this.
Yeah, this stunt that the sporting goods owner does. Jack Taylor's in this too, who worked with Jess Franco a lot. And if you ever follow that dude's career, it's amazing because he started in America, and then he went to Mexico and made like the Nostradamus movies, and then he's in like the Vampire's Night Orgy. He's in so many movies. He's in pieces. Like he shows up all over the world. Like he's one of those guys who are like, were you just following these horror movie scenes, knowing that someday I'd be writing about you? And like, Sam's gonna love that I was in this one. And I think that's pretty rad. So I love this. Is a really good, not that I'm going to endorse any drugs, but you're going to smoke out. This is probably the movie for you. This seems like a really good
Oh, definitely.
weed movie. Yeah. Every time they show up, when that music hits, you should light up and then you'll be dead. But make your own Blind Dead, or like have your own fog show up in the house.
It's really by the way, how about Joe Bob's show last night?
Oh, it's like a double bill feature last night between Day of the Dead and Let Sleeping Corpses Lie.
Yeah, which of course, I don't know. I admit I didn't actually watch the show last night. I wasn't able
Yeah.
to. But I was curious to know if anybody else did because I want to know if they made a reference to "Don't Open the Window." That's the
Yeah.
only important thing. Because
Or Breakfast with the Living Dead.
Breakfast at Manchester Morgue,
Yeah, Breakfast in Manchester Morgue. Yeah, that's a good one too.
Break Bread
Mm.
with the Living Dead. You know, that was such a strange ad campaign. That was a strange moment of Hallmark releasing, and of course, why one of the reasons I love them so much. It's because they did crazy shit like that. You know, like they had just had a whole bunch of success with Last House on the Left, movies that had titles that were sort of vague. You like you didn't know what they were about. But there were other movies like you know, I drink your blood, I eat your skin, that had a really sensational title. So it seems to me like they were experimenting right on uh, Breakfast at Manchester Morgue, or whatever you want to use as the title. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. When they acquired the rights to distribute that in the States, first they put it out as Breakfast at Manchester Morgue, which
Yeah.
is a very sensational title, and the tagline was "Break Bread with the Living Dead." And you knew it was a zombie film. They were selling it to you as a zombie film. They put it out that way, like in a couple places in New England, and also Louisville got it as Breakfast at Manchester Morgue. There was a TV, you can even hear in the TV spot how how they used part of the original ad campaign in it. So I think it says "Break Bread with the Living Dead" in the TV spot, even though they ultimately ended up going with the title "Don't Open the Window," which means nothing and tells you nothing. And they even they obscured everything that they could about the zombies in it. So that's two different extremes. Like they went from one to another.
It's almost like today when we write emails and advertising, we do what is called A/B testing, where you try out different headlines and you send the same
Mhm.
email to different audiences. It really feels like that's what they were doing, these advertising techniques with their movies. Plus, like, wasn't it like New England where you couldn't say blood in some titles too? There were certain places you couldn't say blood, so that would change. Sometimes a movie would have a totally different title in those places that you didn't expect.
That's true. And that was so obscure though. Like by the
Yeah.
time, you know, "Don't Open the Window" happened and everything, like that had sort of fallen out of favor, and
Mm.
blood was the thing that was getting people into the theaters in the first place.
Yeah.
So the fact that they, you know, ultimately, I don't know. I wanted to ask your opinion about this because you have an ad campaign like Last House on the Left. You don't know what that movie is about, at least, you know, unless you've talked to somebody who's seen it. But even the commercials, like you really didn't get a good idea of what was
Mhm.
happening there. Do you think it was better? Don't you think it's better to be more vague about what the movie is, because then people will go see it based out of curiosity?
I think for Last House on the Left, especially, there's gonna be part of an audience, especially like guys bringing their girlfriends to a drive-in for that movie. That
Hmm.
that movie's gonna, if you told them exactly what it was about, they probably wouldn't go. You know what I mean? There's parts of that movie that are gonna turn off audiences. And I think so
Okay.
being vague about it and saying, and then when that vagueness worked, I think a lot they went all in, right? On some of their other movies. They're like, but I don't think the vagueness worked because I think the word of mouth happened after that movie. Do you know what I mean? In a good way, where people are like, "Holy shit, that movie was crazy," and that's what brought people in.
That is really what's going to sell your movie,
Mhm.
honestly. You know,
It's weak.
and
It's weak too. The legs of the movie after. Do you know what I mean? Like after it's played for a bit, that it's gonna. Anyone can have a decent opening weekend when there's nothing out.
oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, there was again, it was a different time that they sold these films,
Yeah.
and there was a different kind of audience out there. There was an audience that wasn't looking for a blockbuster, or they didn't care that it wasn't going to be a blockbuster. All they wanted to do was go watch something weird at
Yeah.
the drive-in. Which who wouldn't
But
want something like that?
but I love how how vague some of their later titles are, or they have like the tease of being very Last House, and then it's like, oh well, then the ad campaign shifts a bit, where it's like, oh, this movie is going to be as fucked up as that movie. We got to see it, so it's appealing to that part of the audience, or the part of the audience that heard the word of mouth of that movie and was like, "Oh, this is going to be like that." So that's where like some of those ads of like I was thinking about it this week, like it's another movie from that company, and I'm like, that's a, like who were. I'm sure there were people that were excited about that company, but it's like
That
so vague.
company.
It's so vague, and it's like stuff that you and I love, but it's like we were 2 and 4 at that time. We weren't going to be really
Yeah.
helping them out.
Like I would have called you up on the phone and been like, "Hey, did you see that reference to that company?
Yeah.
Is it too soon to talk about 72?"
I was just going to say it.
I knew I was going to get there before you, no matter
Oh
what.
man, we really need like a Groucho Marx thing that comes down from the ceiling when we say that. It'd be our catchphrase, like Pee Wee thing. Everybody goes nuts and throws stuff up in the air whenever you say it. We should do that if we ever do the live show. We'll do like, hey, whenever we say, "Is it too soon for 72?" Everybody scream.
Ah,
Ah, but I see that's the thing. I love seeing. This is one of my favorite things about the show is seeing, and I'm excited for tonight because both these movies have so many titles and were sold different ways that that's really cool to me. Like it's like you could have. I always wonder how many people saw these and were like, "Oh man, I already saw that one." But I just happened to me yesterday. It happens with even today with like it's a slightly different thing, but like the director Godfrey Ho and Joseph Lau, like they remix so many movies that like King Snake and Thunder of Gigantic Serpent are the same movie, but with different scenes. Like there's like a totally different subplot in both movies, totally different music. But it's like I already saw this
yeah.
movie, but I don't feel gypped because I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I like got to explore something again.
Yeah, I wouldn't have complained about it. I would have never asked for my money back. Do you remember you never got your money back in the movie? That
No,
was just unheard of. I don't know when they started caving to people and giving them their money back or if that even ever happened. But my
it's
God, you can't.
I think once you do that, it just it's well, it's what happened. They set up the thing where like, well, my friend got their money back. All right, go. They would tell us when I worked in retail. I'm sure my wife could tell a lot more, but like when I worked at Toys R Us, like, look, there comes a line with a customer when they start arguing vehemently, like just give them whatever they want. I'm like, well, why did we argue all the time then?
Yeah.
Like we spent all this time fighting, and it's like, but who would watch that and be like, I was thinking about the first Manchester Morgue title. It would be cool if they went all the way and it was like the last movie and like and on I think and you actually got to break bread with the living dead like post movie they would kind of come out like the incredibly strange things that what's that one where Cash Flag runs through the audience. What if that happened like when the light
Oh
comes
my
up
God.
if you made it through the movies they'd come out with like croissants and breakfast sandwiches. Holy shit, we should do that. I would.
The living dead will break bread with you.
Yeah, they'll bring you out breakfast burritos. Oh my god.
There you
I
go.
think that's what we should do. From that company, it'll be like, "Oh,
That
another movie
company.
from that company." I love that they say that in those ads, and you're like, "What?" Like that takes a special kind of balls as a production company to be like, people are really starting to notice the fucked up shit we put out. Like,
That
here's another
company,
one.
that bad company.
That bad company. Another one from those guys that keep using the same ad format for different movies and retitling stuff.
And it looks like something you see in the supermarket while you're waiting in the checkout line.
Oh,
You look over at a tabloid and you see, is it too soon to talk about 72?
yeah. Sad Last Days of Liz. That's my all-time favorite tabloid headline. It was on like 15
Oh,
years. It ran. Tabloids have been kind of replaced now though. There's so many like true crime shows and like
well,
TMZ and stuff.
TMZ,
Yeah. The
Perez
joy I
Hilton.
had as a kid, 'cause my grandmother subscribed to the Examiner, the Inquirer, the Star, and she wouldn't get Weekly World News because it was bullshit to her. She only wanted celebrity filth. But like she loved the Inquirer to an inordinate degree. It's probably where my love of gossip magazines came from. But like, especially like 70s and 80s early Inquirer, like wasn't slick at all. Like it's slick now. When you get it, it's like $5 an issue. And it's like, but those old Inquirers were like, yeah, here's a picture of Elvis in his coffin. Like
Yeah.
and like they'd still have weird UFO stories and stuff. And it's like
Yeah,
but
sometimes
today,
the fantastic stories would seep into the more
yeah.
gossipy rags like the Inquirer and the Star. You know,
Yeah.
you did get some real supernatural bullshit in there. I think that was the first place I read about the killer bees
Oh
was in the
wow.
Inquirer.
I watched The Deadly Swarm the other day, and I had like a childhood trauma, a kinder trauma flashback when they're sitting in the Volkswagen Bug and they're trying to move the windshield wipers, and the bees are filling up the front of the car. I saw that as a kid, and I'm like, that's what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna be stuck in the car. I think the big split with the Inquirer happened is it used to be color covers, black and white interiors, and they sold that press to they bought a color press and they started doing all color Inquirer. The black and white press is what Weekly World News with Bat Boy and all the crazy stories. That's the old Inquirer press that made those. So basically, it didn't cost them any money to run those issues.
Weekly World
So
News was not all baloney, says
it
Lee.
wasn't. Yeah, a lot of comic book guys worked on Weekly World News. Like a ton. A lot of the same guys that worked on Cracked when Cracked went out of business, they all moved to Weekly World News. Um, so yeah. I bought every issue. I had a subscription until they stopped publishing it. Now it's all online, but I really loved it. So, but yeah, I think there's like a good crossover, and there is because there's the movie Tabloid that Brett did that really crosses over with horror movies.
Welcome everybody who's joining us tonight. We're happy to hang out with all of yous and talk about fantastic films. Vivi's getting excited about something right now. So
My favorite thing that happened last night during Joe Bob was Darcy wanted to like do a party in the Wampum Mines where Day of the Dead was filmed, and she was like, "Wampum has to be an awesome town." I'm like, "I'm from Wampum. It's not." There's like literally like beyond nothing there. There's a speedway now. There's like not the grocery the convenience store. There's literally like race cars there, and you can hear them at my mom's house all the time. That's all there is.
I mean, considering that it was shot in a cave,
Yeah.
you know, like is it really all that exciting that they shot it there? I mean, it's underground. It's not like you know they were in there and they filmed, but it's not like you see it when you drive by or anything.
No, and you have to drive like a mile down to get to that. Like it's not like you can just go hang out. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like you can't be like, "Oh, let us in so we can all hang out and have a
yeah.
party."
Lori Cardill told me it was really scary. Like getting there, she said they had to have somebody take you down there because it was so easy to just get lost. You could
Yeah.
get way off course and be like in the middle of nowhere in a cave. And yeah, I don't even know. I'm sure they could find you, but could they? Could you fall
I mean,
down
your
into a
cell phone
crevice?
probably wouldn't work down there, you know?
Mm-mm.
You'd be too far
Your
beneath the
cell
earth.
phone.
Today, if you were down there. Back then I know they didn't.
Lori did not drop her cell phone into a chasm in Day of the Dead.
She had a beeper.
She had one of those big radio phones that had a big
Oh yeah.
cord coming out of it.
Oh man. I love those. Whenever they show up in movies where people have them, or when they're on their car phone in like in a movie that's too far before, I really get excited about that. Or a
Well, at one
satellite
point
phone.
they were like real phones, except they came from somewhere under the dashboard. On
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman, they always looked like a home phone with a spiral cord that came
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Those are the ones that I love.
Yeah, I want one of those phones in my car, and it has to only be the number in my car. You call me, you're calling my car. If I'm not there, I'm not in my car. You
Yeah.
know?
You have to do it. You have an answering machine next to it. It's like, "Hi, this is Bill. I'm not in the car. Call me at home."
Or call me on my real phone, which isn't at home anymore. It's in my pocket.
Yeah. But
Wonder
you'd have
Woman
one
could
in the
not
cars.
foresee that.
No. Flip phones are back. Like I saw a commercial for flip phones the other day, and I'm like, remember when I
Mhm.
had a flip phone way after everybody else? Everybody made fun of me. I
Yep.
was hip. Who knew? For once.
I think Droid tried that.
Yeah.
Around 2011 or something like that. Droid had a phone that you could bend in half, and nobody wanted it. And
They're
now
trying
it's coming
again.
back. Yeah.
I saw a bunch of commercials for I saw one at the theater actually for it when I went to see what was that? That ghost movie a couple weeks ago. That's how great it was. I can't remember what it
That
was.
ghost movie,
Yeah.
Insidious.
Yeah, Insidious 3. More insidiouser.
The insidiousest one of all.
Hey, though I do have to say there's a movie on Shudder I'm excited about. Sharksploitation, the history of shark movies. It just went up this week, and it's a documentary all about the history of shark films. And there's a whole section about the Shark 3, Human Zero, the Jaws
Oh wow,
National
yeah.
Lampoon's. Yeah, because Joe Dante got interviewed for it, and there's a part with him in it talking about it. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm really excited.
Don't you wish that movie had gotten made?
100%. Like it's like I think after 1941 didn't do well, they're like, do you know what I mean? Like, are people ready for these kind of wacky? And also, it would be like, well, I love it because they're like, we probably couldn't make another Jaws movie after this, and I'm like, probably not going to be able to. Anyway. People haven't made one in a long time, thank God. So
I think there were rumors that there was going to be a fifth Jaws film, maybe like 10 years ago. I was hearing
yeah.
that. Did it
Well,
just get?
now we have the Meg, so
Yeah,
everybody's excited
which
about
I liked those books. I
that. Oh
liked the
yeah.
books for Meg and The Trench. I only read those two. The Trench was like just like Meg, except with dinosaur thingies in it.
Oh
It
wow.
was more dinosaurs, I should say, since the Meg itself is a dinosaur. It was just sort of like the samey, and I was like, oh, he's just going to keep writing the same thing over and over again. But I was excited about the movie because they started. I mean, I think he optioned a film before the book even came out, which
Yeah.
was in the 90s, the mid 90s, and it never materialized.
You know
Joe
what's fun?
Alton, I think is his name, or I might have
Mhm.
his first name wrong. Steve Alton, I think it
Yeah.
might be his name. He was a teacher. He was like a high school teacher, and he
Mm.
wrote this book, and it became a really big hit. And they optioned this film, and it was in development hell for a decade or more.
What's funny because like now they've kind of set up this weird rivalry between little dogs and the Meg. There's always like a little dog in danger
I
now. It's
know.
even on the poster, and I'm like, let's not do that to Cubby. He's already afraid of sharks as it is. Um, my mother-in-law loves the Meg movies, and I don't know if you've ever heard, but when she sees a movie, she almost caused an incident on an airplane once watching the first Meg. She was watching it and had her headphones in and just started screaming at one point whenever they because she gets nuts, you know. And
Wow.
yes, we're gonna take her to this one. We took the last movie we took her to was the last Jurassic Park, and she literally lost her fucking mind like during that movie, screaming at one point. And no, and it was like the movie sucked. But I got to bring her to every movie. She makes the movies better
I
through
want a
her.
movie about her freaking out on the plane watching the Meg.
The worst story I know is one of her first dates with my father-in-law. He took her to see Alien, and during the facehugger scene, she reached over and just grabbed his balls because she was looking for something to grab, and she thought it was the seat, and she hurt him for like a week. Like he was like he had to go to the doctor and everything. That's the
Oh
story.
my God.
Yeah. Yes, we're still drinking every time somebody says, "Hold on." Every time somebody says "Prophecy Bear."
I think that's a good
Yeah.
idea. Yeah. Hey, let's do the drink segment.
Let's do it.
I looked down and it was like, wow, past 8:30.
Also, I saw someone brought up Cocaine Shark. We got copies of it to watch. I got to do a review of it. But
I know. It's
yeah.
been sitting there for too long and it feels like I just got it yesterday, but I know it was like a month ago.
I shot on video Pioneer Mark Polonia. He made Cocaine Shark too.
All right, so let's do the drink segment.
Let's do it.
Ghost Galleon, what?
It is the horror of the zombies, aka the Ghost Galleon. And this is all about the Knights Templar. And this is a drink that the Knights Templar took back from the Crusades. No, it's not, but it's a drink. It's basically a zombie, but it's an Italian version, or I mean a Spanish version of a zombie. So we're gonna start with Midori, an ounce of Midori, an ounce of Malibu. You should just buy Malibu for every week, right? Tell them, Cubby. An ounce of spiced rum, half an ounce of Joaquin's. This is from Pennsylvania, even with that name. America's melting pot. Half an ounce of that.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. Half an ounce of Cointreau, 3 ounces of orange juice, 2 ounces of pineapple juice, and about half an ounce of lime juice. We're gonna have a bit of lime for a garnish and mint fresh out of the garden. So this is a shaked up drink. Got the ice in here waiting to go. And now we're gonna put in some ice in our shaker.
That's all our booze.
This is all the booze. It's like NyQuil. And then we're gonna do all the juices. You should kick in that song that the blind devil will come out to. I'm chanting as I shake this.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, shaking the drink for the ghost galleon.
Go Scallion.
Cubby is Spanish and French. Here we go. Get ready.
Lovely lemon. Show them how you do the mint.
You gotta, to bring out the flavor of the mint, you gotta slap the mint. You gotta show the mint who's boss. You gotta be like, bad mint. And it's like, thank you, Daddy.
Where did you learn that?
Oh, no. It's
Bar
not-
Rescue.
Party Bar Rescue, yeah. It makes a nice.
Your legacy.
My legacy. You screwing up your legacy! Yeah, that's what he says on Bar Rescue. He's never come to our bar. My pour counts are getting a lot better since watching it. Anyway, Pazuzu, let's take a sip. That is delicious. And get ready. Let's enjoy some Blind Dead.
When you say our bar, do you mean this bar or do you mean another bar?
This bar. This bar.
This
Rescue
bar.
This bar.
Shea Panico.
Shea Panico, my bar. This is one of my favorite drinks. Both drinks tonight are really cool. So I'm really excited about this drink. It came out. I'm very happy with
Pazuzu.
it. Pazuzu. Also, speaking of movies being in the news, Orca could come back at any time now. These orcas attacking luxury cruise ships.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get Orca back. Pazuzu.
It's happening. They said it couldn't happen, and it did. Okay.
Yeah.
That means something.
How about that mint slapping? Do you see me show that mint who was boss?
It was my favorite moment of the,
It was?
of the drink segment. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't going to do it back. It's like, you got to slap the mint. All right. So I slapped the mint.
I'm so glad you slapped the mint on camera.
You got to put the lime in the coconut and you got to slap the mint. These are the two things you got to do when you're making these drinks.
Exactly. Something like that.
Yeah. At least that's what I hear.
Steve Wilson says BDS mint.
The M in BDSM is mint. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
See, he gets it.
Yeah. How
That's
do you
why
know
he's
that?
watching fantastic films with us tonight. This is kind of a spoiler alert ad because when we see, first of all, I have to apologize to everyone about misrepresenting the movies we were going to do this week because we totally forgot, or it was me that was in touch with Diana about when she was going to be on the show. She never said she'd be on tonight. She said next weekend. So we had to pull something out of thin air, and Sam was like, let's recreate one of those fantastic Brewer drive-in double features. So that's actually why we decided to show these ones.
She will be on next week, though.
Yes.
That's definitely happening.
Diana from Jalo of the Month Club. And we're so excited to have her on because, well, she's really into these kind of movies. And, you know, I'm always interested when another obsessed person is able to come on and talk about these movies.
Yeah. She has a great podcast, too. Her podcast is really fun, and she gets really deep into them, especially she always has like a kill counter for Jawas, which I enjoy. She's like, you know, there were this many kills. They happened at this time. Like, she has like a stopwatch. She does them in sometimes, which is pretty fun.
I'd be interested to hear what's her top kill film. Like, what film has the most kills on her list?
I asked her when I was on who her if she had to pick a Jawa king and queen. She's like, can I just pick two queens? And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Yes, that's how it should be.
So yes, this did play the United States theatrically. It was the second Blind Dead movie, and the fourth one did not either. I'm pretty sure. Night of the Seagulls is what it was doing, and I think probably the reason is because by the time that was able to be released, I think it was like 75 or 76 when they made that one.
Yeah,
it just sort of sat there for so long, and then they just put it out on home video. But
it's not The Secret of Seagull Island, in case you get confused.
No, it's totally different. It's just a Blind Dead movie. Like, you know the score. There's skeletons, and they shuffle really slow, and yet the people that they're attacking can't do anything except just stand there and scream. And they lose control of their limbs.
At least there's not like a photography scene, an extended which happens in what do you call it? Living Dead in Manchester morgue, where like I'm just trying to take photos of this zombie.
Wait a minute. Where is there a photography scene? Oh, you mean the automatic photography?
Yeah.
I was trying to imagine a scene where someone had a photo session with one of the Manchester.
No, but
morgue
we need
zombies.
to put that in a movie. That would be awesome.
A little more to the right. No, that's your
Yeah.
left. You're right. There you go.
I
Pat.
love the ad for this movie, and I'm so glad that you recreated it for tonight.
I just literally cut it right out of a couple of these
Well, I
ads.
love that the howling beast just looks like a set of wind-up teeth chasing people.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is this was around the time that Rocky Horror Picture Show
Yeah.
was a phenomenon. So I don't know. It seems obvious to me that's what they were emulating here, but maybe that was
Yeah.
not their intention.
Yeah.
I'm not making any statements about anyone else's intellectual property or anything.
I like that they refer to them as living dead men. They're like, they're living dead men.
They're like us, except they're living but dead.
They exist on the flesh of the young and beautiful. Oh.
Sam Sherman's Independent International put this out theatrically. That's
Yep.
exciting.
Super. I love their logo, by the way.
Mhm.
It's gorgeous.
It's going to be good. It's like seeing the Harry Novak
Oh.
thing come up before a movie. You know what you're in for, and it's going to be good.
When I see Harry Novak's name get written out, I get delirious in my excitement. I'm like, oh. Same as the Independent International when it shows up. Oh, look at this double feature. More Living Dead Men.
Yeah.
These are sensual possession thrillers, so we're also going to go after the Exorcist audience.
Yeah, this was 1976.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the Exorcist vibes were still strong. So I'm always finding new ad campaigns that try and make it seem like they're selling you a possession film.
I
just
also
like The
love
Exorcist.
two things I love about this ad. One, it calls out that it's an Eastman color. Like, were people going to come because it was the quality of the film was higher? Me, yes. This is like pre like film snobby maybe. And also Wednesday's Ladies' Day. So come on out. House of Psychotic Women on Wednesday is like double Ladies' Day.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
Oh, an Eastman color. Rated R. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Fabulous, isn't it?
Oh my God.
It kind of makes you have palpitations.
I love that the Ron Van Cleef Death of Bruce Lee, which is really what is the name of it? It has like 50 titles. It's actually shot in America, and it's all about like a karate tournament. What's his name's in it too? Who was in Women Warriors of the Wasteland last week? Fred Williamson is in that movie. He's in it for like 15 seconds. He's like in the crowd and they interview him. Pretty awesome. What is the second movie? I can't read it. It's something
Mr. Death.
Mr. Oh, okay, cool.
The contrast is all messed up in this ad, but it's Mr. Death.
Yeah. Well, I love the also like we've talked about before, they really would play with the contrast in these because once they're running in newsprint, do you know what I mean? It's gonna soak the whole way through the newsprint and look wild. Taste of Blood and Horror of the Zombies is a great double feature, and that is the sad.
Yeah, sadly, this version of Horror of the Zombies that ran in the States, I'm pretty sure it was edited.
Yeah.
Even though it was rated R, there's a couple of startling, in quotation marks, startling shots in this film where you see violence to a mannequin in the form of a head being cut off. And that's missing from the American print of this film because I have the VHS. So either at some point it was edited into a PG and they took that stuff out, or it never played that way in the States. But anyway, you couldn't compete with a Herschel Gordon Lewis gore film.
Yeah.
In terms of the on-screen violence, I guess.
Do you like that all Carl's women had three things in common?
Oh yeah, and they're dead.
Yeah, and they're dead. Oh. let's see. What's going on in Hartford? Night of the Howling Beast and Horror of the Zombies. We're doing that. And which Night of the Demon is that?
It's the A Touch of Satan.
Ah, okay.
It's not the Bigfoot one. That Bigfoot one never played any theaters in America that I could find.
Oh,
And I hunted high and low, and I think I read some trivia or supplemental things on the Blu-ray or something that said that it never really got a theatrical distribution. Although I want to believe it did, and that it could have been the third movie on this lineup, because that would be amazing.
The Van, Pom Pom Girls, and Malibu Beach, which nobody would be ready for after a night of fun.
We are going to do that on the show sometime, aren't we? Malibu
Yeah,
Beach.
we're definitely doing it. I love that movie because you think, oh, Malibu Beach, it's just going to be a sex comedy. No.
Yeah, it's not what you think it is.
No. It has literally the meanest protagonist I've ever seen in a movie. So, of course, I love her.
I mean,
It's
not that
fucking
we
ins-
would be above showing a soft core thing like the
No.
Van on the show, but Malibu Beach is not that.
To be fair, I love vansploitation movies a lot. Super Van is a huge favorite.
Yeah.
But I love all movies with vans in them. Malibu Beach has a real special place in my heart, though. So.
I'm not one of your vans. Yeah.
Ah.
How about the Pom Pom Girls?
What
you
is
know what that makes me think of?
Oh, the Rah Rah
Rah
Girls.
Girls.
If it was the Van, the Rah Rah Girls, and Malibu Beach, this would be such a great lineup because it
Yeah.
would be like, hey, the Van's pretty fun. Wait, what the fuck is this movie? And then the third one is like, wow, it's gonna like crush you. I agree with Paul. The Crown International films, like somewhere, they're the biggest downers because they're like, hey, you know what? We should probably just kill our hero or heroine in the last reel. And you're like, what did I just watch? Yeah, Crown's pretty wild. Oh my god, everything in this ad.
Yeah. Couldn't you just faint? This is 77.
Oh. So
And Fort Lauderdale, I think, is where the Airport 9 drive-in was. And it's just fucking unreal. That this could have been any given weekend. You could go and see movies like this for 99 cents.
The Wilderness Family is an early canon movie. It's an actual family, like Swiss Family Robinson kind of movie. And it was like they kind of were trying to do the Sun International Forwallen kind of thing on that. Demon Witch Child, obviously, and Horror of the Zombies. I mean, that's the number one pick, right?
Well, yeah, that's where my eyes go first. But look at that
The Sentinel and
drive-in.
Family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sentinel at the drive-in.
Oh, what you know? What
It's Alive in Black Christmas. Did you see?
I
It's
would
Black
love to
Christmas?
see the Sentinel at the drive-in. Like, we got to talk them into that. That's a drive-in movie. Man, I love it. Also, I want to shout out. There were 34 people in the chat room for a bit, which is astounding. Thanks
We've
to
got
everybody.
44.
Oh my god! Thanks to everybody. I can't see the YouTube number, so
Yeah.
thanks to everybody watching. Man,
Yeah,
this is
there's a lot of
the
things you could be
airport.
doing right now instead of hanging out with us.
The Airport 9 is great.
I know this is going to be another series on Groovy Doom, but I don't know. I feel like I'm saving it for later.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be something fabulous to do for later. But those Florida drive-ins, especially, I already did Miami, but these ones all had the stars around them. They were just a work of art every day in the newspaper.
Yeah. Oh.
This, I don't know what to say. The first movie is House of the Zombies, but in the actual fine print, like where there were no ads or anything, and sometimes there was a separate movie section that was all print, and it was tiny little print, and you could see what was playing, like locally, I guess. It's called Horror of the Zombies in those small ads. So
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that it was tonight's first film. Horror of the Zombie. Plus, Demon Witch Child is also with it, so it's got to be that. But look at number 3.
Yeah, Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman. Yeah.
3 Spanish horror films all in a row. Tales of the Bizarre, is that a Spanish film too?
I'm not sure. I know
I don't think
2000
it is.
Maniacs isn't.
Isn't Tales of the Bizarre the one that's narrated by a mummy?
That's bizarre.
Oh,
I
okay.
wonder if if it is that movie. I love that movie, and it's never streaming because that's one I'd love to show on the show because it's so just weird. Um,
And
I
2000 Maniacs, naturally.
I'm gonna look up Tales of the Bizarre and see what that is. 2000 Maniacs is playing at the drive-in this year.
Yeah. And we've seen most of these at the drive-in already. We did see Horror of the Zombies and Werewolf versus Vampire Woman. Also, Night of the Howling Beast. We saw all these things at the Super Drive-In Monsterama. They're a blast to watch out under the stars. Now, the Werewolf versus Vampire Woman print that we saw was definitely an old beat-up 35 millimeter because I remember it looked really pink.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
it
I
would
think it fell apart before the last reel.
probably.
What year is this ad from?
Oh, it would be nice if I could answer that.
70s?
No, this is the 1970s, definitely.
Okay, because there was a Tales from the Bizarre in '82, which is an adult movie. Tales of
77.
Okay, there's this Tales of the Bizarre from 1970. There was also a Tales of the Bizarre TV show.
I think the adult film Tales of the Bizarre is the Mummy movie because it started
It
as an
is
adult film.
Secrets of Sex. Yeah, that's it. Because it came out in 1970, and it played as Tales of the Bizarre in the U.S. Wow, I can't even explain one how weird that movie is, and two how different it is from everything that's playing um in this in these movies. Like it's such a movie that doesn't make sense. I love it. This is a great night at the movies.
It's faint worthy for sure.
Yeah. Oh, in-car heaters and the destructors. Oh,
The 59 outdoor sounds like a dare.
yeah, it does.
Hey, did you ever 59 outdoors? It's
At
like a 69, but it's
57 more of
never
those,
mind.
and I'm getting out of here. I love when people put things in quotes like House of Psychotic Women, like it's not actually happening.
Yeah,
It's
these
on.
movies were reality.
Yeah,
This was truth right
yeah.
here before
This
your
ad's
eyes.
great. It's such a simple ad, but it's so great. Oh man. Tonight's movies are both on Tubi as well, just in case people are looking and wondering where can I find them? They are on Tubi.
Where can I find tonight's movies? Do you think there's a post on Groovy Doom where you can go just get the links?
I think there is, and there might be one on BNS Spot Movies too.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I think that they're both there. The the first movie tonight is on Tubi if you search for The Ghost Galleon, and the second movie will be under the title The Werewolf in the Yeti. Uh, there are so many titles. Bill, I'm going to go through. Why don't I go through the list of titles for this, and we'll see some of the other titles for the
Yeah,
Ghost Galleon.
because there were many.
If
Well,
only I
a
had
couple anyway.
a magic box that could tell us the other titles of this movie.
Oh, you were expecting me to do that in the ad gallery because that's normally when I do it, but
I didn't want to. I didn't want to steal it from you.
I didn't find any other ads for this under any other title. Not even the Ghost Galleon. I thought I'd find that in the UK.
Oh, well, hold on. I can do that. I'm going for it right now. Also known as, and I'm going to Horror of the Zombies, Ghost Ships of the Blind Dead. Let's see. Yeah, right. Horror of the Evil Dead. It was its U.S. reissue title, as well as The Blind Dead 3, Ship of Zombies, and it also was released on DVD in the U.S. as Zombie Flesh Eater, which is kind of interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pushing it.
Yeah.
Well, they better have shown the unedited print because that's the only version that shows any flesh eating.
Yeah.
The other one's just cut out right before the characters are killed.
Yeah.
The one on Tubi is uncut, by the way, so you will
Oh,
see every second of the violence to Barbie dolls that takes place in Horror of the Zombies. The special effects in all of Armando D'Ossorio's films are so low budget. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a whole other level of artistry, especially the
also,
sea serpent.
oh my God, we got to show that because the effects in it are negligible at best. This, if I was going through movies on Tubi and I saw this, what this, I love Tubi. The Tubi summaries are like the old TV guide summaries. The Tubi summary is executed for their occult practices centuries ago. The Knights Templar rise from their graves to hunt two bikini models stranded on a Spanish galleon. Holy
Bikini.
shit! Why don't you want to watch that movie? If you don't want to watch that movie, never watch the show again, because that is the best description for a movie ever. It's got occult practices. It's got Knights Templar. It's got two bikini models and a Spanish ship. I mean,
Bikini models. Hey,
I
you
like that
know.
they're like, hey, these guys that have lived forever and have defeated death and just roam the countryside. What are they doing now? They're going after bikini models.
They're like, these victims that we keep finding they have too many clothes on when we find them,
Yeah.
because the Templars always seem to tear the women's clothes off before they kill and devour them. But now they need the women to already be undressed.
I got to tell you, Bill, you know what other movie's up on Tubi right now? Super Fuzz. It's Super Snooper.
Wow,
I'm
that's
not
a
going to put.
drive-in movie.
It is a drive-in movie, but I don't know. I don't know if we'd keep our audience if I forced anyone to watch it. I did see that at the drive-in.
Yeah,
With I believe, man, that would have been like 79 or 80. I don't know what I saw it with, but I definitely saw that at the drive-in because I was like bouncing off the walls during it. Like I thought it was the greatest movie ever. I did see Police Academy 1 at the drive-in. I doubt they would have put those two together like a movie with oral sex jokes and Super Snooper, a kids movie. But who knows? My hometown was nuts, right? Mr. Super Invisible. That movie was produced by KTEL Records, Chris. That was one of the like 8 or 9 KTEL Records movies that came to the US. Sonny and Jed was another one, which is why
KTEL Records
yeah.
getting into the film industry. That's pretty amazing.
They brought all Italian movies over, and they're like, "Now your favorite Italian movies are here in America. It's Sonny and Jed, Sergio Corbucci's movie of a man treating a woman horribly."
It's a big idea to get used to.
It's a big idea. I love the idea that in Super Fuzz, I think Super Fuzz and Condor Man, Vince, may have played together because I definitely saw Condor Man, the Disney movie, at the drive-in, and so maybe Condor Man and Super Fuzz played together. Um, Also, the Phantom from Phantom of the Opera played Condor Man, the guy who was most famous for playing the Phantom. But I definitely saw that at the Spotlight 88. Bill is where I saw that in
Oh, wow.
in Beaver Falls, PA.
Just
Um,
saying those words,
uh,
Spotlight 88,
that
Spotlight 88.
that may have been the night that I saw the ad for Your Hunter from the Future, and I said to my dad, "Can we go see that?" And he's like, "No, we can't go see that." I said, "Why?" And he
You
said, "It looks
hate
like."
that? Like, you
Oh,
knew the parent or the adult was going to say no.
he said to me, he's like, Sammy, that movie looks like a piece of shit. And he was right. He wasn't wrong, right? But he was because I love that movie. But I've reminded him about it for years. I'm like, you wouldn't take me to see Your Hunter from the Future. He's like, I bet it didn't even play at this drive-in. It was probably just a trailer. And I'm like,
Oh, it totally did.
it totally played the Spotlight 88. Yeah.
And
It
the ad
probably
said,
played with something awesome too. It probably played with like Cobra Mission or or like Ark of the Golden Cobra or like some other great Italian ripoff. And like, he
it
did
said right
take
there in the ad, if you are a parent and your child asks to be brought to this movie, do not say no.
to be fair, he did take me to Star Crash and Battle Beyond the Stars, which is like a mind-blowing double feature, right? Like,
That more than makes up for it, I have to
I
say.
mean, I wouldn't like Italian movies if it wasn't for that night. Like, I remember seeing it, and he said to me, he's like, you know what, this Star Crash is pretty good, and I was like, yeah, and it's also a piece of shit, but a great, fun piece of shit, right? But man, pretty
All
good.
right, it's time to go watch the movie.
Let's do it.
So I hope you have the movie. There were a couple people who are watching this for the first time. By the
Yeah.
way, welcome and thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We don't actually show the movie here in the environment. You can just go watch the movie on your own and come back after it's over. There'll be a second live segment after the film. probably like around 10 between 10:30 and 11. Just whenever your movie ends, we usually give people a couple minutes to catch up, and then
I
we'll
am
be back.
watching the Ghost Galleon on Tubi right now, so I literally just loaded up. So I don't know what's going on with yours, but mine is running. It's also on YouTube.
Okay. Well,
You made
no, is it on YouTube?
that one is on YouTube. The second movie is not, I believe. Let me
Okay.
look. Let me look on my post before we go in and I give people a
Well,
review.
however you're watching it, it's okay.
It is on YouTube, and on YouTube it is listed under. Hold on, I'll tell everybody before we go in. Yeah, I'm watching Ghost Galleon right now. It's on there on Tubi, and it's also the Ghost Galleon on YouTube.
Okay.
You go, yeah. So there you go.
So go watch it and come back. We'll be back after the movie. That's that in a second. Hold on.